Hey YouTube, welcome to the Off-Grid Mountain Homestead. Today's topic is how to keep your chickens laying in the wintertime. It is almost December solstice, so lowest sunlight of the year. The sun here comes up about 8:15 and goes down behind the mountain about 4:45, so the chickens don't get 14 or 16 hours of daylight. And these chickens supply more than what we need. We have 4 production red hens, so we get well more than what we need. I'm actually supplying, including our household, 2 other households, so 3 households worth on 4 hens. So let's talk about some chicken nutrition and what I do to keep them laying in the wintertime. There's several, I can go way in depth in this, but I'm gonna try to keep it basic today. Just a couple of main points. And a side note, and I done the video the other day on this coop right here. I got an email from Tractor Supply saying they want to discuss the coop with me. So I emailed them back last night and awaiting their response back. I kind of explained to them what the deal was with the roof and all that, so I'll keep you updated on that as it develops. All right, so first off, let's go back here. I've got went in and grabbed them some crops out of the garden. That's why I always try to keep something. You see my garden shots, even in the wintertime, I always try to keep something green growing for the hens. So let's go back here and see how many eggs we got today. Good, 4 eggs today. So 4 eggs, 4 chickens, a week from the solstice in December. Not too bad at all. So let's talk about nutrition first. So I'll start with the basic feed first, what I feed the hens, and then I'll show you the supplements. All right, so I'm gonna show you my feed. You have to excuse my shadow in the shot here. It's late in the day, the sun's getting low. There's not really any way to avoid my shadow, so I apologize. But anyhow, I got two different types of feed. I got laying pellets and scratch grain, but I don't just run straight scratch grain. So let me show you how I do it. So I keep it in these blue barrels. I keep my layer pellets, and you can fit about 85 or 90 pounds in one of these blue barrels worth of layer pellets. It's just 16% protein laying pellets. These pellets have everything your chicken needs. It's got calcium in it, all that good stuff. I've never had to give my chickens oyster shells because there's enough calcium in here to keep the shells nice and thick. And my mother-in-law, last batch of eggs we gave her, she commented on how thick the shells were. So just regular 16% pellet, and this is Homestead feed brand from a local feed store. I don't buy anything from Tractor Supply because it's overpriced. I can get a 50-pound sack of these pellets for $13.75 at the feed store. Now I want to talk about the scratch grain. So this is a winter supplement more than it is a summer. This is made by Homestead Feed as well from my local feed store. $12.75 for a 50-pound bag. So what I do, it's a 7-grain scratch grain. Get a little bit out here so you can see it. So it's got millet and wheat and rye and oats and corn and black oil sunflower seeds, and it's got its own pellets that come in it too, a composite pellet. So I take the scratch grain in the wintertime and I mix in 25% of the laying pellets I showed you a minute ago. Mix it all together, and this is what they get right here every day as they need. So I keep that no waste feeder. You know, I give them a half a gallon milk jug full every day if they need it. Sometimes they eat it all, sometimes they don't, but it's just a mix. So the corn gives them carbohydrates and sugar and helps them in the winter. So doesn't the grain and the black oil seed, gives them a little fat. So this helps them in the winter. They burn a lot more calories in the winter staying warm. So you have to supplement. Pellets don't have enough really in the wintertime from my experience. And you might ask what my experience is. Well, I've kept chickens on and off for 30 years. So, you know, I've done the trials, done testing and everything to see what gets them to lay the best. And this mix I've got right now, the last few years, this has been top notch as far as keeping them laying in the wintertime. And since we're talking grain, scratch grain, I don't give near as much scratch grain in the summer. In the hottest part of summer, I usually don't give them any scratch grain. They get enough fresh stuff out of the garden, scraps. And I read years ago, I can't remember the source, but it made sense that if you give them too much corn in the summer, especially the hottest part of the summer, it makes their metabolism really high and they're more prone to overheating. So I do not give very much at all, if any, scratch grain during the warm season. And here's the supplements I usually try to give them every day if it's available in the garden. I either give them some lettuce, some cabbage, and I always give them some kind of grass to keep them nice yellow, orange, good dark orange colored yolks. So I give them, you know, a basket or two of wheat and rye grass, or a cabbage, or some lettuce. So let's throw some cabbage in there and watch them go at it. Yep, really excited about the cabbage, and let's throw it in here and watch them tear it apart. So yeah, gives them some greens, gives them some variety. You know, I try to make it a little bit different every day, and I think that's part of it, is giving them a variety of foods to eat. Just like humans get bored if you eat the same thing every day, I believe chickens are the same way. Same thing with rabbits. I've noticed the rabbits even like different hay every few days, but that's another topic. But yeah, I try to give them something different every day to, you know, keep them from being bored, give them something to work on, some exercise. And a lot of people, for some reason, like to give chickens mealworms nowadays. And I don't believe in that one. I know a lot of people that feed their chickens mealworms, they have feather problems, they have laying problems and stuff like that. So I do not recommend feeding them a bunch of mealworms. You may give them one or two as a treat to make them act cute, but I do not recommend a lot of protein. And too much protein is not good for the hens. You get too much in there, it can cause all kinds of issues. So take it easy on the mealworms. They also get kitchen scraps, all the vegetables or anything left over, breads, tortillas, taco shells. Chickens get table scraps too, nothing wrong with that. Been doing that for years. And another thing, since nutrition is not the only thing, a lot of it's got to do with the breed of birds. So I'm just hitting high points. My preferred bird is a Rhode Island Red, Production Red, New Hampshire Red. Those breeds, they do good in the heat, they do good in the cold. Some people like fancy breeds and all kind of, I mean, there's more breeds of chicken you shake a stick at, but I like the Rhode Island Reds or Production Reds. They are a good, reliable layer, high production. I've had Red Stars, Black Stars, Rhode Island Reds, Dominickers, White Leghorns, I mean all kind of chickens. And the Reds, Productions, New Hampshires, or Rhode Islands, all the red breeds seem to do the best. But you know, your climate may be different than mine, so take that as, you know, into consideration too when you're picking your birds. Do your research, make sure you get some good cold hardy birds, and that's a lot to do with it too, is their cold hardiness. If they're real cold, you know, they're not going to lay as much, but these chickens, they don't mind it. And I do not recommend heat lamps unless you're in a brutal climate. Some people put heat lamps on chickens when it gets around freezing. Well, they're good down below zero without any kind of heat supplement or anything like that. And they got their nesty house, and they all get in there at night, and I close the door. It's plenty warm in there. So I do not recommend, you know, doing stuff like that. I've never had to. Not saying that if you're up in Minnesota or Wisconsin that you might not have to add some heat. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Arctic farming or anything like that, but you know, I don't supplement these with heat or light. They just got natural daylight, and they're laying pretty good. And another thing, when they age out, after about 2 to 3 years, they'll start slowing down in the winter anyhow, and just overall production. So, you know, if you're wanting heavy egg production, you got to refresh your birds every 2 or 3 years to keep the numbers up. So I hope this helps. If anybody's got any questions about nutrition, I said just a basic rundown, not too in depth. I ain't a scientist, you know, but just common sense experience from over the years, what works good with chickens and what not. So if you're having trouble with your chickens laying in the winter, you know, maybe consider a different breed next time, or change your nutrition up a little bit. Give them a variety of food, supplement them with some grass, some greens if you can. You know, just try a few different things. So maybe you can pick up a few pointers off this video. I hope it was informative. And if you liked it, please hit that like button. I'd really appreciate a like. Help this push out a little further on the algorithm. And you know, any question or anything, put it in the comments. And if you're not subscribed, I'd greatly appreciate a subscription from you. It means a lot. Thank you for watching the Off Grid Mountain Homestead. See y'all later.